The human memory is a strange thing. It buries some moments and plays others on a loop, night after night. I've driven thousands of miles, picked up hundreds of people, but there's only one ride I can't forget. It didn't start with a scream or a chase. It started with a quiet notification sound, and a single soaking wet passenger who got into my car without a word. This story isn't about ghosts. It's about a feeling. The kind of cold dread that sinks into your bones when you realize you're a part of something you don't understand. This is the story of the Cecil Hotel ride, and why I sometimes avoid driving through downtown LA after midnight. The memory of that night is still there, waiting in my rearview mirror. It was just after 1 a.m. A typical humid Los Angeles night, the kind where the air feels heavy, like it's about to rain, but never does. I was cruising near Pershing Square, waiting for the late-night airport runs to start. My phone lit up. A new request. I glanced at the screen. No profile photo, no name. Just a single initial. E. The pickup was less than a block away. I've learned not to judge a ride by the profile, so I accepted. I pulled up to the curb under a flickering street lamp. A figure stepped out from the shadows of a bus stop bench, looking around. She opened the back door of my Camry and slid in. The first thing I noticed was the water. She was soaking wet. Her hair, her clothes, everything. A small puddle was already forming on the floor mat. I checked the sky through my windshield. Not a cloud in sight. It hadn't rained in days. I cleared my throat, ready to ask if she was okay, but she just sat there, directly behind my seat, head down, hair hiding her face. Silence. I looked at the app. The destination was a residential address a few miles away. Simple enough. I put the car in drive and pulled away from the curb, the sound of my tires on the asphalt suddenly feeling way too loud. We drove for maybe 5 minutes in complete silence. The only sounds were the hum of the engine and the distant echo of a siren. I kept glancing at the rearview mirror. All I could see was the top of her head, her dark, wet hair. No movement, not even a shiver. It felt wrong. The air in the car grew thick, heavy. I could smell the dampness, like wet concrete after a storm. I turned onto Broadway. The old movie Palace shines a blur of faded neon. Then my phone chimed. The destination had been updated. My eyes darted to the screen. The new address was on South Main Street. I knew the area. Skid Row wasn't far. The new pin was dropped right in front of the Cecil Hotel. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. The Cecil. Everyone in LA knows the stories. The darkness that hangs around that building like a shroud. I slowed the car down. The hotel's faded vertical sign coming into view. It stood there like a tombstone against the night sky. And that's when everything shifted. She leaned forward. I felt her presence right behind my ear. Cold and immediate. Her voice was a whisper, so quiet I almost didn't hear it over the car's air conditioning. "Don't stop here," she said. "Just circle the block." Her words weren't a request. They were a command. A strange, desperate instruction that made the hair on my arm stand up. My heart was pounding. Circle the block. Why? I slowed the car to a crawl, my mind racing. Every instinct I had as a driver screamed at me to just keep going, drop her wherever she wanted. But something else, a deeper curiosity, a need to understand, took over. I pulled over to the curb, about 50 feet from the hotel Esmine in Tran. I killed the engine. The sudden silence was deafening. I just need to stretch my legs. I lied, my voice sounding shaky even to me. I needed a second. I needed air. I stepped out of the car. The atmosphere on the street was different. Heavier. The air felt colder right there. I walked towards the hotel entrance. The grand doors were chained and padlocked. Peering through the dusty glass, I saw nothing but darkness. A deep, empty lobby. But I could hear something. A faint sound from within. A rhythmic, mechanical hum, like an old elevator straining to move between floors. A chill ran down my spine that had nothing to do with the night air. This is where I almost turned the car around and just left. Primera, Schuld. Abe. I took a deep breath and walked back to my Camry, my footsteps echoing on the empty sidewalk. I opened the driver's side door and slid back into my seat. My eyes went straight to the rearview mirror. The back seat was empty. The seat was still wet. The small puddle of water was still on the floor mat. But she was gone. A spoon around my heart, hammering against my ribs. Empty. The back door was still closed. I hadn't heard it open. I looked up and down the dark street. Nothing. Just empty sidewalks and the faint glow of distant traffic lights. I grabbed my phone. My hands were trembling. The ride was still active. The timer was still ticking. The pin was still glowing on the map, right over the Cecil Hotel. I sat there for what felt like an eternity, the silence of my car pressing in on me. My mind was trying to find a logical explanation. Did she slip out while I was looking at the hotel? How did I not hear the door? It's a 2012 Camry. The doors aren't exactly silent. I ended the ride. The app asked for a reason. What do you even select for that? Passenger disappeared into thin air. I just chose other. The fare was minimal, a few dollars for the distance we'd covered. But that wasn't the strangest part. A few days later, I couldn't shake the feeling of that night. The wet clothes, the whisper, the empty back seat. I did something I'd never done before. I Googled the Cecil Hotel, and that's when I saw it. News articles from 2013. A story I vaguely remembered but had never paid much attention to. The case of Eliza Lamb, a young woman who had gone missing from the hotel. The last known sighting of her was security footage from an elevator, where her behavior was erratic, strange. She was later found in the hotel's rooftop water tank. The stories said guests had complained about low water pressure and the water tasting strange. My blood ran cold. I thought about the woman in my car, soaking wet, her single initial on the app, E. I really don't believe in ghosts. Just can't buy into that stuff. I tell myself she was a real person, a troubled person who ran off when I stopped the car. Maybe she was part of a prank. Maybe she was just a memory, a story that the city itself was telling me. But every time I get a late-night request downtown, I hesitate. I see that single initial on the app, and I think of that whisper. I think of the wet seat and the empty space in my rearview mirror. Some rides you finish, others, they finish you. The night remembers more than we think. If this story hit home for you, drop a comment below. Stay safe out there. Thanks for reading.